Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and that was Crash, who just left. And, I got my boy Kevin here because we are talking about Minions and Monsters. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Sure, to leave a like, comment below, and know your thoughts on Minions and Monsters. And, of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into it, shall we? So, in this Minions movie, we do not follow the normal trio of Kevin, Bob, and Stuart. Instead, we are following James, Henry, and Ed, who are part of a different group of minions. They have the same motives. However, James is very much within telling stories and drawing pictures and all of those types of things. Henry kind of encourages him, and Ed, who's just a little bit hard of hearing, is also along for the ride. And I will say this, when it comes to Despicable Me and the Minions for that matter, I would say overall I am a casual fan. The Despicable Me titles, absolutely enjoy those. I like 1 and 2. 4 was a lot of fun. 3 was not necessarily a bad day at the office, but it is the weakest of the 4 to me personally. Then the Minions titles are even more of a mixed bag to me because I love these guys. I do. I think they're really funny. They are great as support characters, but bringing them up to the forefront, I do believe there is a sense of struggle. That first Minions movie, I'm generally not a fan of. Now, granted, these movies are not catered to me whatsoever, and especially when that first Minions movie came out, I was very well not a child anymore. And then Minions Rise of Gru, I actually really did like quite a bit, but I take more, I think I enjoyed it because of the character of Gru. Young Gru, Steve Carell was back, and I think there was more focus within that. And therefore, I think Minions Rise of Gru is better than Despicable Me 3, and it might be better than 4. It might be my third favorite if we were to rank this whole entire franchise. And now here we are at Minions and Monsters, which by all intents and purposes, I should have really liked, because James, I want to get one of these of James, because man, I really related to this guy. He's very artistic. He gets in a lot of trouble because he's daydreaming and he's doing all these different things with that akin to his interest. He has paint on him to show how creative he is. Again, I really was attached to the character of James. And, this movie, if you've seen the trailers, it's all about the movies. He wants to make a movie with, monsters. And, he has this creature feature idea. And, you had the Minions. I mean, from the get-go, like, this movie really had me at hello in a lot of ways, because you see all the old school styles of the Universal picture. And then you've seen all of these iconic images that we have seen from the black and white era of film. And a lot of ways that people call the golden age of film, and they're just adding Minions into it, and a lot of that was a lot of fun to me, and I really enjoyed the beginning of this movie and seeing the progression of James, Henry, and Ed, and within their group of minions that they were, as they are trying to find their master, and this conflict between James, between our three, and the leader of the minions, Dick. That was, again, to me, very, very engaging. And then when they get to Hollywood and we're starting to see all these different things, and you talk about this transition from the silent era to sound, which was a big culture shock throughout the film industry. I encourage you to read about it if you haven't, and how the Minions fell to that, and with that fun little twist and a bunch of like iconic lines from movies and scenes, adding a minion in there to make it to have a subversion of expectations. Again, I was having an absolute ball throughout the beginning of this film. The whole first half, really. I really did truly enjoy it. I was like, okay, I'm in for a good time. And then as the movie progresses, when it does get into its plot, when we do get to the Minions and Monsters portion of it, there becomes a point where the Minions split up. And we have our three, James, Henry, and Ed, and then the other minions led by Dick, they go on another quest. And overall, those two different quests that they go on that are, the full front, that is the actual story of the film, are interesting in their own right. But I don't know. I don't know if it was the case of two stories, or just because I was really digging, the power dynamic in a lot of ways. Between them, and seeing like, man, can they all get along, or are these guys just going to be like the black sheep of the minions? I just kind of that's when the movie started to become noise to me in a lot of ways. And the movie was really starting to lose momentum for me as it progressed, as these two stayed separated, because these two different storylines that were going on, it just wasn't as engaging if they weren't all in it together, to me personally. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of fun in there. Trey Parker plays a character in here. He plays, I forgot what the green guy's name is. It's a silly name, and I can't remember it to save my life right now, so apologies for that. He's a lot of fun with the way he talks and how, you know, he's talking with the minions. He's a lot of fun within it. Dick's group's going through, they meet this guy named, I can't remember his name either, but he's in a robot suit the whole entire way through. What that journey is, again, was a lot of fun. It was just kind of deafening noise, because it was just like, okay, we're cutting back and forth, and within the cuts, it just kind of became jarring to me. And then as we get to the third act, boy, it's a lot of fun. When they all come back together again, it is a great use of subversion of expectations, because I'm thinking it's going to go one way, but it's really going to go another the whole entire way through, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, bigger, and more outlandish and just more absurd as it goes on, to the point where I was like, okay, that was a lot of fun to see. And overall, the movie is okay. Look, the Minions movies are not catered to me, right? I am not the target audience when it comes to this. One, I am not a child. Two, I don't have children of my own, but I do have nieces and nephews. And while I was watching this film, I was like, yeah, I can see my niece really enjoying this. Oh, I can see my nephews really having a fun ball with this. I can see a lot of kids having a good time with it. So if you do have a family, I say, yeah, go to the theater, pay for some popcorn. You're going to see these kids absolutely ball. There were a few times throughout this movie where I legit busted out laughing, because the situations, whether it be making fun of a movie scene or just with how the certain interactions are and how the minions are interacting with each other, that again, I was having a good time and I was laughing. It was just that a good big chunk of the portion of the movie where the minions separate and you have one group over here and then our three over here. It just, that point is so, it's not even dull. I'm just not as engaged within it. And again, I'm kind of checked out, because again, it does kind of become noise at a certain point. But then it does get me back in once they all come back together. If they could have kept that whole group together throughout the whole entire 90 minutes, I do think, yeah, we probably do have the best Minions movie out of all of them. But no, at the end of the day, it is the second best Minions movie. And I don't know where it would rank with the Despicable Me movies. Maybe I rank it higher than 3, but it is competing with that bottom spot because of that middle portion, which is a good chunk of the movie to me. But again, I think there is a lot of fun to have. I can see why a lot of people enjoy it. I can also see why a lot of people did not enjoy it. But that is up to you. To me personally, I say go see it. I think it's fun enough, especially, you know, if you are a super huge movie fan and you know your history and you know some of these iconic images, there is a lot of fun to see within those. But yeah, when it comes to an overall story and narrative, once we do get into that portion, to me, the movie's just not as strong. If I had to rank this on a lemon scale, where I go sour lemon at the bottom, Expired store-bought lemonade, bad, but hey, there's some good. Store-bought lemonade, good, but hey, there's some bad. Lemonade in the middle, it's a movie. Freshly squeezed lemonade, very good. Minor nitpicks here and there. And then strawberry lemonade at the very top, because that's the best kind of lemonade. I would say Minions and Monsters is a lemonade, maybe a store-bought lemonade, depending on my mood. Again, that middle portion to me, I just really wasn't having the best of time in. Again, even though there is some fun to be had there, just overall wasn't for me. But overall, I will give it the lemonade, because the first half is so strong and those last 20 minutes are so fun. And that's probably, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm going to lean onto the stuff that I enjoy the most. So therefore, I'm going to give it the lemonade. And yeah, those are my thoughts on Minions and Monsters. Comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. Leave a like if you made it this far within a review. I do greatly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. And don't forget to squeeze the days, guys, because life is too short not to give you all. So squeeze every opportunity that you can. Until next time, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.